obviously last year there was next to nothing in this planted border, and thanks to the likes of Carol and Helen, we got a lot of plants in and virtually filled it up, bearing in mind some of the plants that have already been have produced seed. Some of the foxgloves, more foxgloves here. There'll be the other one that was there that's been cut down, that produced seed probably. The Aquilegias will have produced seed. So there's going to be seedlings coming up in here that will probably fill up the few gaps that there are. Bearing in mind ferns came up that I didn't plant, so I'm still not quite sure where they came from, but there are ferns in here that I didn't plant. Therefore we may have a few spare. For instance, this one here has come up sort of almost in the middle of the elephant's ears, and then there's another one here that has come up in the middle of the elephant's ears. So there's a couple of ferns in places where they could come out, and if they come out of here they can either fill in a gap if there is one, or we go to where else can we plant in this garden. And the answer is virtually nowhere. So the only piece of the garden that didn't get done when Hannah was down a couple of weekends ago was this area up in here. Now it's behind these tubs for a reason. This ground cover is starting to come out now. I think that's going to be quite a little spectacle. I don't know how long the blooms are going to last, but this area up in here has had some planting done that Hannah did. That was from stuff we already had. Most of that in fact has come from Helen. That's bugle, something that has red flowers on, those silvery leaf things, and some London Pride. Those were leftover plants from the things that Helen provided. And there's a fern up there that's struggling. There's actually two that I planted. Then we've got all this area here. Now this was completely covered up with that creeper thing, the nightshade, and brambles and ivy. Now I cleared all this out this morning. There's a primrose there that's struggling because this area never gets watered. That's the problem. I need to start putting the hose on this area. And there are bulbs in here. There's snowdrops. I think there's some bluebells. There might even be some fritillaries, I'm not sure, but there are some bulbs. But there's literally an area there with next to nothing in it. So bearing that in mind, so I have to go careful where I walk. Don't want to tread on the ground cover plants because they're coming on nicely. Bearing that in mind, there are quite a few little pieces of thyme that have just come up on their own. They've self-seeded. Bear that in mind. And over here, I went out this morning to take all the bags of green waste up the recycling centre from back when Hannah was here, and clearing out that space this morning. That produced another bag and a half. And I just called in the, not garden centre, do-it-yourself place on the way back, because I know they have cheap plants. Now these are ground cover plants. Unfortunately they've got no tags, so I don't know what they're called, but basically it just says sedum, so they're all different types of sedum, I would imagine, because there are a vast variety. But out of ground cover plants, that yellowy coloured one there and the one in the other corner, I've already got that, but I haven't got that, I haven't got that, and I haven't got that variegated stuff, and I'm not sure I've got that either. So although I've got two of the plants in here, the others I haven't got. So those are going to go in that area there. Oh, butterfly, with a few other bits and pieces. That's landed. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. That's a comma butterfly. That'll be difficult to zoom in on, but I will do my best. Hopefully it stays in focus. Difficult when it's zoomed. That's a comma butterfly. Raggedy edges, nice orange and brown, and if it closes its wings, it would almost disappear. And in the centre of the lower wing is a silver comma, where it gets its name from, literally. It just looks like an apostrophe. That's a sort of silvery colour. So, there we go. There has been one in the garden before now, this year I mean, but that's the first one I've managed to be able to film anyway. Oh, there we got a damselfly. That'll be almost impossible to focus in on. Lovely colours. So what I have to do is spot a shape and then try and zoom in on it based on that shape, like a leaf shape. I think I've got it there. Whether it's in focus or not, I don't know. Damselfly. I get a few of those different types. Very attractive, lovely colours, iridescent sort of turquoise colour, that one. Right, where was we? Don't get interrupted. Yes, so those plants there are going to go in the space I've created just to cover it up with ground cover. The reason being, it will stop weeds growing. Once the ground cover takes over, you know, plus it will provide some flowers every now and again, some places for bees, butterflies perhaps. So I'm going to get on with that, and I'll film it when I've finished. Okay, I've given everything a good water. This area was really dry. I've been missing it with the hose, just forgetting it's there, because it's behind these two tubs. I do them and then sort of walk away. Anyway, so the bits that Hannah planted, they've taken, so they're okay. That's a weed. And so is that. See, Hannah was supposed to have weeded this when she was down, but she worries that she's not sure what's what, if you see what I mean. Anyway, London Pride, Bugle, which is starting to spread. The little runners are starting to spread and take. So that's getting about now. More weeds. Ugh. Just have to keep my eye on it. See, these are the runners. That one's taken. It's a little plant on the end. So the Bugle will spread around here, and eventually some of the little runners can be taken off and moved up in amongst this. So right up the back there behind the big primrose is a violet, and slightly to the right of the primrose is another violet. I managed to get a couple of small pieces from over on the other part of the garden. And then just in front of the violet there is a forget-me-not that hopefully has got hardly any roots, but hopefully it will take. And we'll have forget-me-nots in here as well. We'll get that nice blue colour. And then these are the plants that I've just bought. There's the silvery one there, the variegated one, that sort of fleshy type of one, and another one there, and another one there. And then that yellowy one, we've already got some of that in the garden. And then there is a little thyme that I managed to rescue from a place that's just self-seeded basically, so perhaps have a nice clump of thyme there. And then there are a couple of little ferns in there. They're not doing very well because they keep drying out, but hopefully they will pick up. So we should see this area filling out, and then early spring obviously we should get the bulbs coming up through. So effectively this is a new planted area, so you lot will have to think of a name. You'll have to have a name for this bit, this little bit of garden, so that we can refer to it in videos and things. So away you go, because at the moment I can't think of anything. The other planted border, I suppose you could call it. It's not really a border though, it's like an alcove, because you can't get in there, and you have to go very, very careful. The staging from the end of the table there is rotted, so you can't walk on that area of the staging, and this area is getting a bit dodgy as well. So these things were put here to stop me forgetting and walking along the edge of the staging, and move the table across here and have put things in the way so that I don't forget. So this area can only really be seen from back here, and when I get this tub back where it goes, which is there, and you can see that you can't really get in there at all. Look, I've just swept this. Yeah, so it's all tucked in behind these two big tubs with the buddleia and the Himalayan honeysuckle. So it's like a little hidden garden. Anyway, just as I've taken everything up the tip, we've now got some more. Okay, just a few new plants up in the in that little sort of secret area, I suppose, which you couldn't even see this morning before I cleared out all the ivy, and I cut the bamboo back so that and it's sort of semi-shaded. It doesn't get full sun all day long because of the shrub that's above it. The tubs that are in front of it shade it from the later afternoon sun, and it doesn't get any morning sun at all because the sun's up behind the house and the big tree. So it's a sort of semi-shaded area, I suppose. And yeah, a lovely big bumblebee. It's just this week I've started seeing bees, the damselflies, a couple of butterflies, and I must remember to deadhead that buddleia. The pinky one, the blooms seem to last quite a bit longer, but it's not such a strong grower, so there aren't as many. The purple one has many more blooms, but they don't last very long. And obviously if they go to seed, they're taking energy out of the plant that would be better put into the next lot of blooms. So I must remember to keep deadheading that. So there we go. Probably the last plants that will get planted this year. There isn't really much space left now. It's just a matter of growing on what I've got, and hopefully filling out areas, you know, where things are starting to clump up, and hopefully they'll get a whole season's growing and fill out quite well. Some of the things are still quite young as far as clumps are concerned in the gravel beds, but a lot of plants have just come up on their own, so there's going to be some ground cover plants in places where I didn't plant them, so we'll have a lot more cover on the gravel than was planned, and that's good. That's a bonus. So and we don't have those do not live here. It's funny, I love yellow flowers, but not that one. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Just a quick update on a bit of planting. It's not a huge big deal or anything, but you know, it is to me. That's now another area of bare ground that has some plants in that will fill out and cover that area. You know, stops the weeds and gives me a reason to keep the ivy cut back. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.